another Tuesday evening. Oh, I really want to do it to these folks again, but I can't do it yet. Every damn week, it's every week that I'm thinking about doing a podcast, and it's just never going to happen, I don't think. Or
is it still a podcast if it's on YouTube?
Well, you know what? I thought a podcast was technically where you couldn't see shit. You just listen to it. But
that's what I thought too. But
I don't know. I don't know how this shit goes. I mean, who am I? I just started doing this shit like almost 6 years ago, but I don't feel like I've learned shit yet. But I guess folks are pretty concerned about this title of this show right here. And I am not going to lie. I did find a DNA in my bed, some DNA in my bed. And where it came from, woo, I don't know what to tell folks about it, but I guess they're about to find out. But let's go ahead and get this out the way, because this is why everybody comes to this show in the first place. They come for the first few seconds, they leave, and then they come back for the last few seconds, because they want to see the smoothest transition in the vape show game. Here we go. Oh, gosh. I swear to God, it doesn't get any better than that, but I guess it could. What is going on, folks? It is the True Vapor Show number 279. We are almost at 280, and that really doesn't mean shit, because when we hit 280 next week, we'll just keep going. But anyway, look who we've got back with us. We have got Mr. Brandon, and man, we are going to talk some stuff about DNAs tonight. So if you got your DNA out in front of you, whichever DNA that might be, we're about to answer your questions that you all have. But first, should we skip buffets or should we do a buffet tonight, Mike?
Whatever you want, brother.
Yeah, we're going to skip buffets tonight. But anyway, what is going on, folks? Brandon, thank you for joining us again. I wanted to have Brandon back on because, and I know I'm going to hear it in comments and stuff like that. Oh, ST, you just kissing ass over here. But there's one thing that I'm not kissing ass about, because I know I can speak for myself. I've used a whole lot of devices over my vaping experience, but there's one device that I love the most. And that is a device with a DNA in it. That has always been my favorite, especially on my big boy mods. Go ahead and say it real quick, Mark. I know you're going to.
Everyone on the panel, which DNA board is your favorite?
Oh, that's a good question, Mark. That is a good question, because like when the 250C came out, I was kind of like, man, I love this look to it, because I kind of like the techie type stuff with it. But I'm not going to lie to you. That OG DNA 200, that's one of my favorites right there. I mean, the simplicity about it, even just the look about it, you know, I really do love that. But I've probably got, well, no, I think I got more 250Cs than anything. But I do have some 200 and 250 OG ones, I guess you can say. It's funny how we say OG to some of this stuff right here, because I mean, all in all, it's only really been out, what, 5-6 years at the most, or somewhere in that area? I don't. Brandon, what's the timeline on that?
Well, if you count the Darwin, that was 2010, and then the Kick was 2011.
Okay.
Which was also a DNA. And
okay.
2012 was end of 2011. 2012 was the DNA 20, which was the first real, drop-in DNA board.
But DNA 200, we're looking at what, 14?
DNA 200 was 15.
15, okay.
Yeah, I think end of 14, early 15, I think.
Somewhere in there. So, of course, my first DNA I ever had was on my little Anakin device with the SVD or whatever the hell that damn thing was. It always trips me out to say the letters they use for that.
STD, right?
STD, SVD. But that was my first experience with a DNA device. A DNA 20, I had no earthly idea what DNA, Evolve, any of that shit meant to me. all I knew, it was just kind of a cool looking chip in a weird looking device. And it was like, you know what? At that point in time, it did 20 watts. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, the wattage is too high on something like this, because I was used to using little things that would do what, maybe 10, 15 watts.
I still got my kick, even though I don't use it.
Oh, damn.
Oh my God, you still have a kick.
Yep. And I got
wow. That's
one
the
of
first kick too.
I got the DNA board with the, what is it? The 2 amp charger? The one for,
Yeah,
That's the Vapor Shark one.
the Vapor Shark board.
yeah.
It only had
It had a special fire button. They wanted a special fire button on that, so it has a non-waterproof fire button, which turned out to be probably not a good idea. They took our waterproof one off and we put theirs on.
That one had like a 2 amp charger, right?
Yeah, that one had it also had wireless charging.
Oh yeah, it did. I forgot about that.
Wireless charging.
Yeah,
And I think
it had
they
a
were the
wireless
only
charging.
ones allowed, right? Didn't they have like some sort of contract with you guys to have 2 amps?
No, you know how that worked? Brandon Liddell, which was the guy that owned Vapor Shark, called me and said, hey, we bought a bunch of these wireless charging things that'll go great on this board from Qualcomm. And he was really into the wireless. It was pretty early for wireless charging back then. And he wanted us to put them in. So I walked it over to John and he grumbled and groused and, I don't want to do it. But at that time, Vapor Shark was our, by far our largest customer. And they were selling, they were buying boards like crazy, and our capacity wasn't huge at that point. So we were like, yeah, that's fine. We'll do it. And, it worked well. Got hot as hell though.
Yeah.
Oof, did that mod get hot?
How
Dude,
about the 2 amp charging?
The 2 amp charging was that was ours. The 2 amp charge on that, we found an off the shelf IC at that time that did 2 amp charging. All the single cell stuff that we have is, there's nothing too fancy about that other than we buy expensive charging ICs. It's the balance charging on the 250 and on the 200. Now that was a thing of beauty. We just wanted a safe way to charge batteries in series, which we hadn't seen yet from any of the manufacturers that had series mods. And we wanted to make sure that we were doing it in the safest possible way. So we built from scratch a balanced charging system on the 200.
Right.
Let me-
Now,
go
I know
ahead.
that Vapor Shark had 2 amp charging only on the Vapor Shark devices though.
That was a single cell, I think. I think that was a single cell. I think that was was it the DNA 75?
I think
I
they
think-
didn't they have I think the DNA also didn't the DNA 40 have 2 amp charging or no?
It might have, but that's a separate board. So that was a board they bought themselves. The DNA 40 doesn't include a charger. So
And I think also the DNA 200 chip.
that one everybody had I think that charges about 2.1 amp.
This is that.
I remember
This
there
is
was
the
a big-
board from that one company, Mike. You remember the company that did the
That's
DNA?
what I'm bringing up to him right
Yeah.
now. That's what I'm getting at. There was a big controversy because there was a company called S-Body. Do you remember S-Body?
I remember S-Buddy, yeah.
Okay, S-Body did 2 amp charging on their DNA 200, and there was a big controversy because they for some reason they ended up getting chips that Vapor Shark was using. But then I heard that S-Body was the one that was putting the Vapor Sharks together for them. So they took chips from Vapor Shark and put it in their own mod, something like that.
Yeah. I don't know the exact story there. One side said, well, we had permission to do that. The other side said, well, they kind of did.
I still have that mod with the lipo pack.
Yeah, that was a cool mod.
Yeah, I
I
have
really
that
liked
as
that.
well.
It was
Yeah.
a little before its time, I think.
Yes,
The nuke. I think it was called the nuke or something like
something like that. Yeah, I still
Yeah,
have it.
yeah.
I have it on the shelf there.
Let me
I
ask
got it old school.
let me ask you let me ask you a question, Brandon, while we're talking about Vapor Shark. So first off, and I've said this a million times on live feeds and everywhere else, the Vapor Shark was my first purchase of a high dollar mod, the DNA 40. I mean, and I thought I was the shit with it. But
Whose
right,
video did you watch, by the way.
I watched Mike Bay's video when I purchased that. But let me ask you this. Right before, I want to say maybe was the DNA 30.
Mhm.
Why was it that, didn't it, if you put the 18650 in the wrong way, it would automatically fry the board?
Yes. We didn't put reverse polarity protection on the. Well, I think we did on the 30. I think that was the 20. Maybe we didn't. I don't know. My memory's not that good anymore. But maybe it was the 30. Yeah, I think we, we assumed that they would fuse it or put a diode in line so that it couldn't reverse.
I remember that and listening to some people go, man, you better make damn sure you put that battery in right. But like with the 40, if you put it in wrong, it would just beep at you or make that loud ass whining. Yeah. But it was like, holy shit, man. If you don't know what you're doing here by installing a battery, you're about to tank something that is not cheap. That just kind of like, it was like, wow, that's crazy how that shit works.
Didn't the Triad have like mechanical battery, reverse battery safety where, remember like the contact?
That was the rings
around it.
That was the rouleau. Yeah, that was the Joytech product.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was clever as hell. What they did with that was clever as hell. When we saw it, we were like, you want an analog solution for a problem. That is an analog solution for a problem.
Yeah. Now, question.
Sure.
Oh boy. Escribe.
Yeah.
When I first got on Escribe, I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was simple. Back when I was messing around with it, mostly with the DNA 200 chip. For me, everything was simple. I could get in there. I could change my scrolling, whether I want it to be 1 watt increments or 0.5 increments, all that stuff. Just doing all the little stuff that I love doing. It was just simple and easy and beautiful. As time went on, you guys buried the living crap out of it. And I can't find it. Someone showed me. Actually, Ginger Vapor had told me where to find it, and I can't remember it. I don't want to keep on bugging them. Why?
Yeah, it's well, as that board line evolved, we've effectively had 4 board lines. The first one was the the Darwin, which sprung the DNA 20 and 30. Right. Then we had the DNA 40 was that was your wattage. We brought wattage to the market. So the 20 and 30 were the wattage. The 40 was temperature control. So everything after that was temperature control. But the 200 was sort of the big jump to, and the impetus behind that. It's really this simple. We had a lot at that time, 2014. There were a lot of enthusiast vapors. There are still a lot of enthusiast vapors, and they were a lot of people like to geek out like we do on tech. And we decided to unhide all of the things that, like when a manufacturer comes to me, before that, previous to Escribe, they would say, hey, we want the splash screen to have this on it, and we want the menu to look like this, and we want the button presses to look, so that when you press these, it does this. And we said, let's open that up. And we did that for 2 reasons, because we wanted to see what people would do with it. Because we do a lot of things really well. We do tech extremely well. Our UIs, oh my God, they're so bad. So we opened up effectively what only the manufacturer, the decisions the manufacturer gets to make to the entire market, or to the user. So the user could go in and make changes. Now the changes were small back then because there were only certain things you could control on the 200. You didn't have a lot of screen real estate. Right. Those were all proprietary fonts, so they had to stay the same size they were. We actually made those fonts. They weren't taken from, they weren't some true type font somewhere. And it really got crazy with the 250. With the 250, the 75C, the color boards, because then we could really widen it out and you could create your own UI from top to bottom.
Right. But why isn't there like a section to where, because I know there's a lot of times we get DNA chips and they're running in 0.1 increments. And we want to change that to 1 watt increments. Why is that buried? Why isn't there like a tab where you could?
That's our programmer, decided to put it on a different screen. I think is I don't know. I really don't.
Right.
Yeah. It's one of those things that once you get so much stuff on one screen, you got to start moving stuff off to other screens.
Right.
And I'm not sure we really took a hard look at what people wanted to use the most. We just went, well, that kind of seems like it belongs with this stuff, which we're going to put over here on tab 3. But the other reason we did Escribe was we saw a lot of research coming out of a lot of universities, a lot of NIH funded stuff that they were looking at e-cigarettes and had came up with a lot of negative conclusions. But the problem with it was they were running these things in a way that they weren't recording how they were running these. So we couldn't take that information and say, well, how can we make our product better by this bad experience that they had with high formaldehyde or whatever. And so we gave the part of Escribe was giving the researcher the ability to record this stuff that they didn't know how to record because they didn't take classes in thermodynamics, they didn't take classes in engineering. So we set it up in a very easy way. If you look at that last tab in Escribe, it allows the researcher, and that way the researcher has all that information, so that, let's say, they're doing something with a DNA board, and let's say Vaporesso wants to, let's say a study comes out and they used all DNA boards. That info is there so that Vaporesso can say, hey, our device works like that device in these ways, FDA. But before that, nobody was. So what we had was a whole bunch of research that was specific to one product, and it's whatever product they were using. So if they were using a blue e-cigarette, then that study was only about the blue. Nobody in the industry could take that information and say, well, ours works similar to the blue in these ways, because they didn't record anything. They just sort of threw it out there and said, well, e-cigarettes all bad because look, and that was part of the impetus behind Escribe. But yes, it got more and more complex. It's very complex now. Do you know, I hate to admit this, I can't even use Theme Designer. I've tried. I can't use it. I can't use it. I've tried.
Oh, you don't even understand Escribe?
No, I don't. I have to ask our users. I have to ask our users how to use Theme Designer, because I still can't use it.
Make a dumbed down version for us.
That is honest to God the truth. But yeah, but we had the wattage, then it went to the temperature control, then it went to Escribe, and now we're on to to this DNA board, which, So there's been four generations of DNA boards. This is the first of the new generation of DNA boards.
One more question. Why not an Evolve app for your phone? For people that don't have a PC but want to be able to do some stuff on Escribe, and they depend on just their cell phone, for example, or they have a tablet. They don't have a PC.
We always sort of resisted that, because you put even a low power Bluetooth is going to be a pull on the battery, and everything I have that's Bluetooth is cute for about 2 seconds. I use it once. Everything I have that connects to Bluetooth, I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, oh, I got to download the app. I got to go to the Play Store or the Apple Store, whatever it's called, and download the app. I download the app. I look at it one time. I'm like, oh, this is so cool, and then I never look at it again, ever. Could we have done that? Yeah, there was actually, somebody did an app for Android that allowed you to take. There was sort of it had a lot of the settings that were in Escribe, and you could just take a USB, micro B cable, like an on-the-go cable, and plug it into your phone and actually make the change. It was the coolest damn thing. I use that a lot because
I heard about it. I've never tried it though.
No, I don't know if he's still updating it. It was very, very, very cool. It was called DNA Mate, I think, but it was a very, very cool little app. It was years ago that came out, but.
Well, the bad thing is Apple's not going to allow anything vaping wise as an app. At least on
that is a problem. Yes.
At least on Apple, but Android I know is a little bit more. I guess they're a little more lax on things with stuff like that. But seeing how the world uses Apple, I mean, I'm just saying. But anyway,
yeah.
But
yeah.
But the Bluetooth part really doesn't. I know what you're saying about the Bluetooth with an app, but obviously. It's not something that you're going to be using constantly, but if you need to make a setting, like you said, with the wire, you just plug it in.
Yeah.
Micro USB to micro USB, or whatever,
right.
Into the mod. And this way it's connected. It doesn't have to be on Bluetooth to make the changes. Yeah, I've always just wondered why that never happened.
It was our fault. I mean, we were really resistive to the idea of Bluetooth. Anytime you throw, and at that time too, when people were shouting for it, they haven't shouted for it lately, but it was, the ICs that they sold off the shelf for Bluetooth were kind of large. So this is an e-cigarette. We don't want to make it too big. You know, we don't want this. We don't want to be walking around like it's a PAX or something. You know, where they're a big hunking thing in their hand. And,
Even the apps that were for like I know Smoke and a few other companies did a Bluetooth chip with the app, and I can remember just using the app one time maybe in the review, and that was it. I never used it again.
Yeah, we
but
had.
it's not really for like us. I'll give you a perfect example. There's people I know because I read like the comments. Like every time I've done so many reviews for DNA chipsets products, so many I can't even count them. And looking in the comments, there's so many people that say, "Well, I don't own a PC, so I won't be buying this mod." So you see that? Why don't they make an app?
Right.
So I would see that, and I was always wondering why hasn't somebody from Evolve? Don't they look at the videos maybe to see feedback from people to see, oh, look at this, there's a big demand for an app. That's why my curiosity. I figured, you know what, I got you here. I'm going to ask you that question.
Yeah. Well, the idea there was that the manufacturers would set these up right coming out the door, so that you wouldn't need to use Escribe. Escribe was always sort of a secondary thing that was kind of cool that, you know, that you could geek out on if you wanted to. You know, if you wanted to spend a lot of time with it, you could spend a lot of time with it. And there's still a lot you can do with it, but it wasn't necessary to use it. The problem we had is a lot of the manufacturers didn't do any work at all. You know, from a we're going to build an interface that works well with our device and that gives the user everything that they need right out of the box. We're still seeing that. You know, so what we did is we started to build sort of the Evolve interface, which was, you know, had everything sort of easy to get to and up front. And if they didn't want to build an interface, we just told them to throw that one on.
Right. I'll give you an example. This mod here. This is from.
I love that mod. Yeah.
Vape ZQ, something like that.
Yeah, ZQ. It's an Aspire, I think, isn't it? Aspire.
No, Ascent. It's called the Ascent.
Oh, that's the actual Z. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
So this has the 75C board. Anyway, their settings, the way they set up was horrible.
Oh, really?
I mean, take a vape.
I didn't get one of those.
It locks. You have to unclick it every time to vape it. So it was just set up. Everything was just set up bad on there. So I did the video. I ranted and raved how I love the mod, but I couldn't stand the theme that was on there. I swapped it. I put my own theme inside there. But the one thing I did say is that this is a huge con to people that don't do Escribe to get a chip that way. So it's like you said, it's up to the manufacturer too. They should set it up properly. But they ended up releasing a theme for it. You know, I think they put it up on their website too for people to.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have final editing rights on anything that they do. So if they want to buy it, just toss it in and send it out as is. You know, we have something called production utility, which actually assigns that board to the, it's supposed to be the last thing they run, and it runs a number of tests. It tests the battery in the mod. If it's an internal battery mod, it fires the mod to make sure that it, you know, is firing at an appropriate wattage and all of that. And nobody, well, there are some, like Lost Vape uses it, Dovpo uses it. A few of the others we have use it, but most of them don't. They just throw the board in there, and you know, it's sort of a spray and pray thing.
That's exactly what they did with that one, and I knew it. I was like, this is bare bones. They didn't do it.
Let me
that was my biggest complaint with that mod. Quite honestly.
Thank you for the donation there, Mr. Dave Flowers. He says, because I'd rather give ST money than Mark. Well, you're very, very smart, man.
You know, the funny part is they thought in chat that this was pre-recorded because we've been ignoring them this whole time.
So I've got a good question for you here. Well, it's kind of a two-part. So first off, do you get a chance to try a lot of the newer stuff that comes out, meaning non-DNA vape-related boards? Like, do you get different devices just to kind of see what the competition's doing or anything like that?
Not often. I mean, if somebody wanders in with something, I'll take a look at it, but no, we sort of like to, and I mean, you know, I don't want to sound, but we like to blaze our own trail. We're not.
I got you. You.
Know, we don't ever chase. That's not our thing. Right. We'd rather have them chasing us.
So here's the second part to that. My second part would be, of what you do know, what do you think beyond your product, and let's just get Yeehee stuff out of the way too.
Mhm.
Out there in the realm of vaping, what do you think is an awesome board, non-DNA?
Or something that has impressed you.
Yes.
Well, I mean, a lot of these, because we haven't brought anything out new until the Reflex. I mean, the reality is the boards have gotten better over the years. You know, a lot of them started as, you know, kind of shitty clones of, you know, the 75 and things like that. And they have gotten successfully better. Their delivery has gotten better. I mean, they still don't seem to get temp control right. But then again, not that many people are using temp control, if we're being honest. I mean, we can see those numbers and it's not many. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, maybe 20% of users use it ever, and only about 10% use it consistently. So I mean, I wish that number were better, but boards that I've tried, see, that's a little unfair because I don't really try other people's boards. I mean, I could tell you what I've heard.
Someone in
but
chat asked if have you tried the die codes before?
Somebody did walk in with a Dicodes Danny. I hated their interface even more than ours. I felt pretty good about how bad our UI was. You know, I just told you how bad a UI until I saw theirs. I was like, well, all right, ours is okay. No, the Dicodes boards, as far as I know, and I've heard a lot about them, you know, are pretty good. Yeah, I mean, that's not, you know, I as far as I know, I did vape on the Danny though. It was good. Yeah, I mean, I didn't vape in temperature control, but it was good. But from what I understand, their temperature control is you know, on par with ours.
Yeah.
Now, question.
Mhm.
I get this a lot in videos.
Mhm.
Since Type-C has become popular,
Mhm.
everyone now is like, why aren't they using Type-C on their DNA 250 chipsets? And why aren't they using it on the 75, for example? Can you explain to people why you're not using the Type-C?
Okay, previous to future boards, you know, I always say this: we're always working on new things. As a matter of fact, you'll see some new things soon. But previous to future, we didn't see the point in a single cell 18650 to put a USB-C in. It's more expensive. It's larger. It is, yes, I understand it's reversible, but you know, at that time, it really wasn't safe to charge a single cell 18650. Now they may have gotten a lot better, you know, but from a charge rate standpoint, from a C rate standpoint, so how many amps you can throw at it on charge, it didn't make sense to, you know, there weren't any that we felt comfortable putting this out and letting people charge a single cell 18650 at you know, at
Right.
some ridiculous, you know, 3 amp rate, or, you know, even 2.5. The 250 did have the, you know, had an equivalent charge to a USB-C, you know, when we brought that out, 200, 250C, those both charged. I think the 200 charged at 2 amp. I'm not sure what the 250C charges, maybe 2.5, 3 amp, something like that. But yeah, should we have switched over sooner? Yes, but from a standpoint of availability, size, price, you know, it's one of those things. There's always that sort of balance that you're doing with, you know, we don't want this board to cost $300, but you know, you want to throw as much as you can into it, and our focus has always been on, you know, the quality of the components we use. These boards are always made to do a lot more. Like the Darwin was, you know, our very first product was a 20-watt product. We capped it at 12.7. You know, all of our boards can do more than what they say. We use components that are very tightly tolerant, so they're very expensive to begin with, and ones that have, you know, that are very efficient and have a lot of life, so they last a lot longer. I mean, I think that's what people like about the DNA, is the fact that it's accurate, it's efficient as hell. You know, there's a ton of quality that goes into it, you know, and it's efficient, so it uses less battery. So you spend all your time worrying about those things, because those things sort of seem important to me when you're vaping, because I want my 18650 to last the longest it can, or my 2 battery mod, or my 3 battery mod, and you sort of charging kind of becomes an afterthought. But now that everything is going sort of big into USB-C, you'll start to see stuff going that direction with
Right.
us too. So
Now, okay, so that's what I wanted to ask you. The DNA 250C board, you could put technically, or can a modder put a Type C port on there? I
no,
don't remember correctly if it's soldered on there somehow.
no,
You have to
no, you
swap it out, or
can't.
it's part of the chip.
Yeah, it's part of the chip, and there's a lot more connections. Now you could with like a DNA 60. Certainly, you can put a 3-amp charger on there or a 5-amp charger or whatever you want. It's just remember when we're building these, we have to build them for what we call the least common bit, which is the guy using the battery he shouldn't be. And that's from a safety standpoint, we want to make sure that we keep everybody safe.
Right.
I think one of our big, and I don't want to say that it would directly go towards what you make, but I think in a lot of devices we see one of the biggest reasons why we enjoy USB Type-C is a lot of these devices get small, and it's all about, you just want to be able to plug it in and charge it. So like things that have internal batteries to them, you just want to plug it in. You don't want to have to look which way that it's got to be plugged in and all that, because again, a lot of these devices are small and the opening's small, and some people that are getting maybe a tad bit older don't quite have the vision.
How many times I'm sitting like going like this, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't even see that.
And a lot more of the connections on computers and cell phones are going USB-C, so it's nice to have one cable to do it all.
True.
Rather than have a bunch of different cables.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I mean, the reason the Reflex, doesn't have it is because of the fact that this was a statutorily 2016 product. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, marching forward, yes. The USB-C requires a lot more connections. It requires a lot more space on the board. The connector is longer. It's just a space eater. It's more expensive, although it's coming down now. It's hard to find a vertical, which everybody seems to like the vertical, the forward facing. But those are getting more common now too, the forward facing USB-Cs. But yeah, I mean, for all of those reasons, but yeah, those are areas where we've been stubborn, where we probably shouldn't have been.
Okay. Now, 2 questions.
Mhm.
You could answer them if you want to. It's up to you.
Here we go.
Just so people get it in their head. In the future, are there any DNA chipsets coming out with Type C?
Yes.
That's going to be on them. And also, is there anything new that you want to talk about?
No, but I promise you this: when I do, I'll come on here and talk about it.
There you go.
So
yes on the Type C.
Yeah. So keep December open.
Oh, definitely. Well, I'm always open for new product releases.
Yeah. But no, right now we're focused on getting the Reflex out. But that's the funny thing about the Reflex, and one of the things that people don't understand, is this is a DNA device. This, I was telling you guys before the show, this is a direct descendant of the 250C. That's what this board is based on. It's the 250C board, and it's about twice as accurate in temperature control. There's easily double the technology in this little board. I think people get confused because it's so tiny. That there's not a lot of tech in this, and or it's somehow some sort of cheapened out version. That it is not. This board costs more to make than the 250C. And it's got a lot more in there. I mean, we're measuring airflow, we're modeling a cigarette. We have safety systems in this because it is, is going for UL approval. You can take out half the safety systems in this, and it will still keep you safe. It won't blow up. It won't do any of those things. So it has redundant safety systems throughout, for the battery, for charging, for everything. So yeah, this is the latest DNA. So, and the way it works is we sort of have that big release of that new thing, like wattage or temperature control or, whatever. And then we sort of, there's an evolution of boards after that sort of pick up, and take it from there. So that's what you're going to see out of us over the next couple of years. The problem is, in the US, we really can't. I mean, we can sell the boards in the US, but we can't we can't bring out stuff. And you know how, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but we hate making mods. We didn't like making the Darwin. The Reflex, we felt like we had to make because we needed to control every little bit of it to make it work right. I mean, it's such a sophisticated system that had we handed it to somebody, our belief was that they either couldn't do it or would in some way screw it up or cheapen it out. So we decided to bring this out because we felt like it was an important, you know, being the next DNA, you know, the next evolution in the DNA boards, we felt like it was important to get this out there and you know, do it right. So hence, you know, hence the Reflex.
Right.
But yeah, but this is a DNA.
Well, and it's like we just talked about too right before the show. I think one thing that some people are maybe misunderstood about the Reflex is that it's not marked anywhere on here, DNA.
Yes.
And like you
that
said,
was a huge mistake. Yeah.
A lot of people that obviously are not into vaping, if you say Evolve, they're just going to look at you and like, okay, well, what the hell does that mean?
Right.
But a lot of times people have heard of DNA devices and stuff like that. And even people that are into vaping, they're probably still like, well, you know, they did a pod. They're trying to get into the pod scene with every other, you know, manufacturer out there, but it's not really the case. You've gone a whole different direction with this, but it's just, it didn't get marked DNA on here. And people might think, well, you know, it's not really any DNA technology in it. It's just, you know, like any other pod system laying around, but
right.
It's not the case, folks. So if that's what you were wondering about this, you are clearly mistaken on it. So
yeah, this is not a DNA Go variant. I saw a couple people posted in a couple different places. This is a DNA Go variant. This has nothing in common with the DNA Go.
Yeah.
Although the DNA Go is a good board, but it was, you know, it's very purpose built for one, you know, very specific task. This one does, you know, a lot more than that.
Well,
it's more of a 250C than it is a 250C with a whole lot more stuff.
Well, I can clearly say with a lot of other folks, when I got my first Orion, it was the shit to me. I was like, man, this thing vapes awesome. And dude, and obviously because everybody was trying to kind of like copy that design somewhat. So, you know, it was. Now, let me ask you this real quick, just since we're talking about that.
Yeah.
Did Lost Vape approach you to say, hey, we've got this device in mind. Could you build a board that would go in it? Or were you in the process of making this board and then companies were realizing what you were doing and say, hey, I want to be the first to have it in my device?
That was a little bit of us not watching the market very closely. We missed the whole sort of everything going small and pod-like because we were so enmeshed in our own crap. You know, a lot of times companies will do that. They just don't see what's actually happening in the space they're in, and everything was going small, and we were really late to the game with that. So, you know, that was one of those where, you know, I said, you know, we like to lead, we don't like to chase. That's one where we were chasing a little bit. And so what we did was we said, okay, if everything's going to go small, we have to bring out a small board. What can we do better than anybody else? Well, we can do temperature control a shit ton better than anybody else. We can do, you know, we can do efficiency a ton better, and we can do quality a ton better. So we need a small board that's extremely efficient, extreme quality. You know, so you can get with a little 900 mAh, you know, you're going to get more time out of it. And let's make a pod mod powerful. And I actually had, I was out in California when Rocky, who was, you know, part of Lost Vape at that time, was walking around to the different distributors. So I decided to accompany him to some of the distributors, and it was funny. The distributors were like, we don't know what the F this is.
You can say fuck, it's all right.
Yeah. They're like, I don't think this will sell. I mean, they're like, we don't think this will sell because it's not a pod mod. It's not a mod. It's something else completely. And we don't see this as having a market. And I think they went almost the first month with like orders for 500 from these distributors. These are big distributors. They bought 500 of them. That's it. You know, and I think Lost Vape, both Frank and Rocky, which are the two brothers, felt like this was going to be a huge disaster, and we felt like it was going to be a huge disaster. Frank had ordered a ton of boards from us, and we were like, oh my god, he's going to be stuck with all these boards, you know, blah blah blah. And it didn't do anything for a month and a half, and then it just, I mean, it rocketed to the point where they were outpacing our capacity, and we have a lot of capacity to make boards, especially boards like that. There's not a lot to the DNA Go from a component standpoint. It's a very small, very, you know, it's an easier board to make. And we couldn't keep up. I mean, we couldn't keep up. I mean, I don't know if
thank the YouTube reviewers for that.
yes, I don't
That's
disagree.
when it happened. The explosion
Yeah.
happened right after all the videos started going up on the review.
Yep.
And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I thought it was a great product. I mean, I was walking around, I was dumbfounded. And that was really my first sort of, you know, and I don't blame the distributors because it didn't really fit anything that they had at that time. And you know, the distributors were like, yeah, this is great, but I don't know what to make of it. You know, it's powerful, it's you know, but it's not a mod, and people like mods if they want power. And it turns out that they wanted something small and very powerful.
Yeah, and it started a trend.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful device. I mean, I don't want to say that, you know, oh, this was only popular because the DNA was in my ass. I mean, had it been an ugly device, it probably wouldn't have made it. It was a pretty device. I mean,
It was
really nice to look at, you know. I don't think it was, you know, just the DNA, but I mean, I don't think that hurt either.
Yeah.
So,
well,
Just
let me.
out of curiosity, like this has probably been asked before, but how big is Evolve? Like, how many people do you employ?
We had 22 employees. We dropped down from that. Like I said, we haven't brought any new boards in, you know, a lot of years. We've gotten a little better at making them. So I don't exactly know how many. I mean, 2 years ago, I'd say 22, but I think we're down below that. We have 5 engineers. Who are we have 2 facilities. We have a manufacturing facility in Hudson, Ohio, which is between Akron and Cleveland. And then about 2.5 hours away, or about 2 hours away, is in Pittsburgh. We have our R&D facility, which is where John works. And that's where all of our, some of our engineers are located there. There are some back at the plant as well. John kind of bounces back and forth between, his house is in Pittsburgh, but he has a house in Ohio too. So he kind of bounces back and forth between the two. I pretty much just go into the manufacturing side. Occasionally I'll go over to the R&D side, but that's pretty much John's domain. You know, that's where everything's developed over there. But yeah, we're not a big company. You know, I like to say we have 22 employees and 86 robots. Yeah, we have a lot of, we're highly automated.
Yeah, I could tell.
Yeah.
Except with the Reflex, it's interesting. We don't have a lot, you know, there's not a lot of putting these together, at least the device. There's not a lot of robots involved. It's just a lot of hand labor. You know, and it is made in the US, so hence part of the price. I mean, you know, good, not a huge portion of this, but a good portion of it is labor. But we felt like we needed to make it here to make it right.
Yeah.
You know, because we can't be over there all the time.
Yeah. It's another thing though, a lot of people don't understand how when something is made in the US, obviously it's going to be more money. They don't understand what's involved, what you're paying. Workman's comp, for example, your insurances.
Oh yes.
The payrolls. I mean, it's different from something that comes from China. Big difference in pricing.
Yeah, and our employees, you know, we believe in, you know, a good wage, so they're not paid poorly. You know, that's been something that John and I from the beginning have always, you know, wanted to make sure that the employees were well compensated. So, but it's not that we didn't believe that they could do it. It's just that, you know, in mass production, things get missed. And unless somebody's bird dogging it all the time, you know, something is going to get missed. And this, because there's, you know, too many ways for it to go sideways, if you just miss the littlest, tiniest thing, we decided to, you know, to keep it where we could watch it very closely. It's not that we didn't have, you know, I don't want to besmirch, you know, China's ability to make things, because they make things in a pretty amazing way, but they, you know, we just didn't feel like, I didn't want to camp out in China for 2 years. I mean, it's the reality, and I'm sure John didn't either.
All right. So here is a good one for you. Have you ever had like Smoke, Vaporesso, Vupu. Have you ever had any of these companies hit you up and say, hey, we'd like to put a DNA in one of our devices. What can we do here?
Happens a lot. Yeah. I mean, I don't think S'more would be angry to hear, they've been to our facility twice. We never seem to do anything though. We talk to them and they're like, yeah, we want to do something with you. Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody knows we've partnered with Inikin. We have some small things going with Aspire, which they're doing some really cool stuff. I love what they're doing. It's sort of like that artisan collection that they're doing, where they did the Sunbox thing. And everybody's like, aren't you mad that they did the DNA 60 Sunbox thing? And I'm like, no, because they approached me to do, to sell them DNA 60. I think they wanted originally a DNA 60 in that Sunbox collaboration they did. And because all the Sunbox stuff had been, I think it had all been DNA previous. Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. And we were having component shortages and we were so far behind at that time. Yeah.
That's the no name Paradox with Aspire.
Yes.
That's
yes.
got that 75 watt
right.
DNA looking board.
DNA looking board. Yeah, they're very
display.
they're very good at making the screen look that way if they could just get the internals the same. But yeah, there's a lot of times we'll get contact. I'm in China usually a couple times a year. And I'll just, there's certain companies I visit every time I'm there. I visit Inikin every time I'm there. I visit S'more every time I'm there. I've been to Sigali. I've been to Kanger. I used to, I really don't talk to him as much anymore, but I used to go there all the time. Yeah. And, and Aspire, I used to go see Tony a lot, but the thing about that is, when you go see somebody when you're over there, it literally takes a day out of your schedule. And if you're only there for, let's say 21 days or something like that, that's one whole day lost. And if all you're getting is platitudes where they're saying, yeah, we want to do something, but then nothing ever happens, you sort of give up on it after a while. But I don't chase whales typically, but I like some of the stuff that Vaporesso is doing. I've always liked the stuff that Inikin's doing. I've always appreciated Aspire. So
how about Dovpo? Dovpo's been using it.
Oh, Dovpo's. No, Dovpo's. I tell you what. Have you pulled apart any of their mods?
Have you seen?
They've done some. Yeah, they've done. No, I have not seen that. I knew it was coming.
That's the Riva.
That is badass.
Yeah,
that has my board in it, right?
Yeah, 250.
All right.
Yeah, it's in there.
I'm not going to say. I take that back. No, I love what Dovpo is doing. I mean, if you open up their stuff, if Lost Vape is the king of complex builds, Dovpo, their stuff looks complex, but they do a really nice job of making it extremely producible. And I feel like they've really turned a corner with some of the high-end looking stuff that they've put out. I really like the stuff that they're doing, and it's done right. The cool thing about Dovpo and Lost Vape both is that, they, before they even start a project, they come to me and say, okay, this is what it's going to look like. And then they say, okay, we've got a prototype together. Can we send that to you? And then we open it up. We vape on it. We test it. We say, okay, this wire size is all wrong for what you're doing here and this and that. And they listen and they do it. And Dovpo, from the very start, when they approached me a couple of years ago and said, hey, we want to put all DNA stuff into all of our devices, I was like, all right. I knew who Dovpo was. They had done atomizers and stuff like that. And they said, we want to do it right. And I was like, okay, but I've heard that a lot, but they actually have. And whoever's doing their design, makes it very simple. Like to do a repair or something like that on one of those mods, it's actually really easy. It looks that the mods look good, but they're extremely producible. Fewer parts, fewer things to break. I like their design aesthetic too.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the people that is working with them, or do they have? I think there was a YouTuber. It was a Vaping Bogan.
Yeah,
was with the first one. Yeah.
The thing with Dovpo was kind of like off the map. The person that Dovpo on the map was Brian, the Vapor Chronicles, who was on the show last time with us.
Yeah.
With this Topside mod, the Topside.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Topside is what put Dovpo on the map now, because Dovpo was always that company that was like,
Way under the radar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like Cloudport and Smoat, where
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're kind of like, yeah. I mean,
No,
I
they've
hope it
stepped it
doesn't blow up, right?
machining, everything that they do, beautiful. Like my mod here, like this. I'll show you. Where is it? Wow, I'm blind right now. I have a product with them too. It's been doing really good with Dovpo. Where's my clutch?
Right
Oh, it's
here.
right in front of me. Like with these, the mechanical mods, the clutch.
Yeah.
These things, the beautiful, the work that they're producing.
They're 21,700 little mech, man. It's the perfect size right there.
Bogan stuff.
Yeah. The interesting thing about Dovpo is they are really, really attentive to. They listen very well. Same with Lost Vape. Think Vape, which is a company that sort of moved away from DNAs, and they've come back, and they're sort of a different bird now. They've changed a lot, and I think they've got some stuff coming.
Well, they were copying everything.
I know, and I yeah.
And now they changed.
I have some great stories. Have me on another time, and I'll tell you some stories
I work
about.
with them. I've done all their stuff that they came out, the Finder and the Finder 250. I've done videos for all those.
Well, there's other companies we stopped working with just because their inability to have an original thought.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be inspired by a design, and there's another thing to just,
Yeah. But now I think I just did a video recently, like a month or two ago, on their DNA 250C one. They made what's it called, the Aura or something, some name. I can't remember the name of it now.
Yeah.
You remember the name, Mark?
Of what?
I think you're not even paying attention.
I'm reading chat.
No. But anyway, I know that I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I don't care. I'm going to say it. Think Vape does have something new coming that's different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do.
Pretty sure you've seen it, obviously, because they're using your chip.
Yep.
Right there. So
it's gonna be pretty interesting too.
We got a question from you, and thank you for the donation there, Mr. S.R. He says, last time Brandon was on, I wanted to put Brian on the spot and ask why we didn't get a DNA 250C's Topside.
They weren't. Who's he putting on the spot? Me?
He's putting you on. Well, he was actually he was going to put Brian on the spot, but Brian's
let's
not
put Brian
on
the spot instead.
I have the inside info. I talked to Brian. Yeah. I know why that wasn't used. It wasn't used because of the price that it would have been. That's why they went with the original Topside with the Dovpo chip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like Dovpo's hit the point now where they're buying in enough quantity that and they're producing in enough quantity that they can cut some cost out of it, and they're actually pricing their stuff pretty well.
Yeah.
If at least the only side I see is what goes into distribution, but I don't know where it's retailing at, but I feel like they're making some aggressive moves and good moves, and their stuff's good. Usually when you see a company making aggressive moves, they're doing something else wrong. They're cutting somewhere, but I just don't see it with Dovpo. I really don't.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, and this might be one of those ones that might not be able to be answered just because of, for whatever reason. But ever since the billet boxes have come out, those have been like some of the hottest selling damn devices ever.
Right.
Are you able to, you obviously are able to keep up with their demands of what they need, but do they need is it like a whole lot that you're having to give to them? Well, not give, but they're buying from you. I don't know if they're only making a certain amount but it seems like every time on their site, as soon as they drop, bam, they're gone just like that.
Yeah, but they only drop like 10 or 12 of them at a time?
No, I think they drop more than that.
Do they?
I don't think it has to do with the chip. It's more of they're small company. It's not that they have a big they're not a big company where they could produce a shit ton of it. I think that's what it is, right? It's producing the mod itself that takes them.
Yeah. I'm just curious on do they have a big demand from you on boards? Because obviously they're using DNA 60 in the what is it, the revision 4 ones now. So It
Yeah,
just
they were. They've been extremely steady over the years. It dumbfounds. Both John and I have talked about this many, many times. The longevity they've gotten out of that one product, and I'll tell you why. You guys want to have an interesting guest on? Have T.T.V on, which is the guy that owns Billet Box. He thinks a little differently. He is extremely, he used to make guitars. I mean, he's done, things that real craftsmanship. And he makes things so good. I mean, just the way it feels in your hand, the way it works, the way it, I mean, just everything about the Billet Box was right. I used the Billet Box for years, and I still pull one out every once in a while. There's just something about it that is just right. There's a lot of people that came in behind him with likes, but there's still something that's just not right about them when you have an actual Billet Box to compare them to. But yes, he does buy a lot of boards from us and has bought a ton of boards from us over the years, and it's steady. It's always the same, same order. He calls us. He's been to our place, I think at least once, maybe twice. And he's an interesting guy. He's just fun to sit down with, because you're like, wow. I mean, just the way he thinks is a little bit out of the box, and he wants to do more things with DNAs, and he's been in to talk to us about that. And it's just that he is such a perfectionist. He has all these great, I mean, I've seen some of the designs he's put together for the next thing. They're amazing, but he's like, nope, I don't like it because of this one little thing, or, it's amazing what he's so exacting with this stuff that it's,
well,
but there's just something right about it.
I ain't gonna lie. All of us on this panel bought one here about the same time. I don't know what, 6 months ago. We all got them. We used them for a time or two, and then it was like, I guess that love and fascination what a lot of people have with it, I just wasn't getting. So I turned around and sold mine. Mike sold his. Mark sold his, and then Mike turned around and bought another one here a while back, so he could try something else out, which he'll be selling again here shortly.
It's amazing the way that product has stayed almost the exact same for so long, and it's still doing great.
Yes, it trips me out on that. That it's a very high demand. And actually, when I had discussed selling mine, I had people messaging me going, look, on Saturdays when these things drop, it's like, bam, gone that quick. They don't last. And it was like, really? They're still selling like that? But apparently it's just, it's a timeless
3-4 years.
Yeah.
Is there another product out there that has been, what other company has that one product that's been selling for so many years?
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
It's crazy. So you
some of your smaller modders, the real artisan guys, the guys that are putting out.
But they change their stuff. They'll come out with new stuff.
You're right.
That's the surprising part. They never had to do that. They never had to say, you know what? It's slow. Nobody's buying the Billet Box. We need to come out with something else to keep this business going. Right. They never had to do that.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. It's surprising in the vape scene, because if it's all the stuff that you see that's pumped out.
Yeah.
They're sitting there with their one product for so many years. It's been successful.
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie. The only reason why I think I never acquired that fine wine taste of that device, it was more or less the bridges you had to deal with. I'm kind of a little bit lazier with things, and I didn't, I don't want to keep changing all that shit out just to, like if I want to change juice, wicking it and all this. I know to some people, well, that ain't shit to do, but it's just a little bit more time. Just let me know if you see us going again. It looks like something's trying to get going.
Oh.
Da-da-da-da-da.
I think it's... Yeah, we're good. Back.
All right. I don't know what happened there. I ain't touched shit.
I think OBS froze.
And OBS did something weird. So it's not my internet. My internet seems to be pumping strong here, but I don't have a clue. I do see this though, because I know how Phenom is. He dropped a big old donation in there. Thank you, Phenom. He said to pay off ST's internet bill. Thank you. You gotta love Phenom. But anyway, all right, I don't even remember what we were talking about anymore or anything. I'm clueless to the world. Shit. What were we talking about? Can we get back to it?
I never, that was the end of the question, I think.
Okay. Well, I hope you caught that there. I hope you caught that. Phenom says, get the new Apple M1 chip. Yes. I've got a whole box of them coming. So
that's what he needs, a PC. His PC created all this because OBS can't work on that PC. It's that antique he's using.
Yes. If there is one thing, I'm a little bit of a whatever. We won't get into all that. But anyway, I apologize. I don't know what the hell happened there. But I do believe this. I don't think that Phil and Demi are doing a show tonight. I don't think. I didn't see anything on there. So we can give it a couple of minutes since we kind of messed up there, but I'm not going to go too much longer. But
can I ask Mike one thing that's not DNA related? Did you get the new crown take, Mike?
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about that top cap? Is it annoying?
If you touch it, it's annoying.
Yeah.
If you're not touching it, shake it. It doesn't make no noise. Doesn't move around. Nothing.
It just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't feel.
It's just when you do this.
I think when people get it, they're gonna be like how I was in the beginning. Like, what's wrong with this thing?
Yeah.
Like, it just keeps.
It's child safety. It's like a perfect example is when you open up like a bottle of aspirin or something, or like the Benadryl, for example, something like that. You have to press the cap down and turn. And if the cap just moves all around. It's the same feature. They put it on a tank.
But at least those style caps, when you push down and lock it, you get a little bit of a tightness to it. This one doesn't tighten at all. It just
it does tighten, but you have to keep it pressed down. It operates the same as a bottle.
It's just, I don't know.
It operates the same as medicine bottles. They put it on medicine bottles so kids don't open it up and drink it by mistake. They did that with the tank. Same thing. Like a juice bottle. Thank you. Someone just said like a juice bottle.
Is there a mechanism in there that closes off the juice port when you close it, or no?
What's that?
Is there a mechanism in here? So when you're pushing down and you're closing this, on the inside, is it closing off the port to the juice where you fill the juice in at, or no?
Well, yeah, I think it's got it makes contact with the top.
It doesn't.
They're probably using a really soft silicone on the top, so it compresses as you.
Yeah, it's a really soft piece of silicone, and I just kind of notice sometimes that if you let it sit overnight, it likes to flood a little bit.
No, look,
I think there's air getting in there.
Look, focus. That membrane right there, it's closed off. It's got a membrane where the bottle opens up, but mine is.
I don't feel like it's
bone dry, no gurgling and nothing.
I don't feel like that's, I don't know, enough to make the seal to where air is going to get in there. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe it's just me being OCD or something.
Right,
it's weird. I think it's annoying touching it. I like solid, but this is good for someone that has kids. If you have kids at home, whatever, and you leave your mod by mistake, so this way they don't open it up. I don't know.
Or you have a child's mentality like you, Mark, and it keeps you from fucking shit up.
I've had other tanks that had that child safety where you push down and you turn it, and you push down, you unlock it. But this one's just a little bit different the way it does it.
If it makes a lot of rattling and shit, that would bug the fuck out of me.
Yes, it's sloppy. It's sloppy the way they do.
And I just feel like just that little piece of silicone right there is what's keeping the air out. I don't think that's going to be enough, personally, over like a week or two period of time.
All right, hold on real quick. Thank you for the donation there, Mr. Tor. We got some of that North Korean money. He says, fix that effing wall, ST. No, I'm keeping it blank back there. Actually, I didn't want to say this there, buddy, but Evolve's building me a big, banner to hang up back here. So just y'all hold on.
Just a picture of me going.
All right, I know, we got to do this. because the crown's kind of a staple tank. I mean, is it holding up to the crown?
Yeah, the flavor is awesome.
So it's
Really
a damn good
good.
tank.
Flavor is
It's-
awesome.
Yeah,
Especially-
I mean, it's good, but I just feel like that little membrane or that little silicone thing is not enough
It kills it.
to keep it sealed. That's just
Oh,
my
okay.
opinion.
Yeah, mine, like I said, mine's been sitting overnight, liquid, nothing. I don't even have gurgling. So for mine, and I'm running 2 of them, and they're both sealed.
Gotcha.
But I noticed that when you turn the cap to unlock it, you could feel something on the inside turning along with the cap. So I wonder if there's a mechanism closing off that
No,
juice
if you
port.
take the cap, put it under your magnifying glass, you could actually see what's going on by pressing it up and down. Just the cap in your hand.
But can you?
Your fingers.
Is there? What I'm wondering though, is there something closing off on the inside in there? Because it feels like there is. Because when you
I don't-
turn it, you feel something moving. When
I
you
don't know
push
what you're
down,
talking about. That's the way. Look, grab your juice bottle. And
no, yeah, I know that.
It's the same thing. That's what it is. It's the same as that juice bottle. You got to press down.
Yeah, but that tightens. This doesn't tighten.
What are you talking about?
When you
Press it
press down,
turn
yeah,
it.
I know that.
Mine
It
is
just
locked. It's
stops.
tight.
No, it's not tight. It just stops.
Mm.
What do you mean?
It
it's
doesn't
not-
tighten.
You have
Hold
a
on.
defective
Yeah, you-
tank or something. I don't know what you're talking about. Mine is tight on it. This ain't coming off.
So the juice bottle, all right, you could spin the cap, right? You could spin
Yes.
it. It's unless you push it down and then you can unscrew it. When you push it down, you can tighten this to make it super tight, and then it's still going to spin. On this, you can't tighten it. All you can do is just turn it, and that's it, and then it spins.
No,
Interesting.
yours is defective. That's not the way they work. Mine, both of them work just like the juice bottle.
Mine, see, mine are a complete opposite.
Okay, how many
Mine
did you
is
get,
tight.
Mark?
Now
I
it's
got
open.
4 and I tried 2.
Okay.
Put it down, press it down, turn, cranked. Now it's tight. It ain't going nowhere. Obviously, this is gonna move because just like the bottle moves.
Yeah, maybe
cap.
it's the ones I have. I don't know.
All right, real quick. Thank you for the donation there, Mr. Vape and Bachelor. He says, we waiting patiently on that DNA 100C to drop. Yes.
I know nothing about it.
What are they talking about?
I have no idea. They just donated to say that. So
There's no such thing as that.
we've got a question from Omar, who's in the Middle East. He says, can you ask Brandon, does he ship the Reflex to the Middle East?
Does he what?
What?
Ship the Reflex.
Oh,
Do,
shit,
do
I
I?
thought you
Yeah.
said
Do I
shit.
ship it? Do we sell to the Middle East right now? No, but tell him if he wants to pick it up. We need a distributor there.
Now, I will say this on the video that we had you, the show we had you on last time, there
Yeah.
was a comment in there of somebody in the UK asking, how would they be available to pick one up? So,
Stealth Vape.
okay.
Stealth Vape. Yep. Rob over at Stealth Vape will take care of them there. He's also going to handle some of the distro work over there. So we're selling 2 distros over there, things
Is
like
that-
that. So he's going to sort of be our point, at least initially in Europe.
Okay.
They might be able to buy it because maybe they ship to the Middle East. So
Yeah, we have, we've been talking to distributors in Italy. I mean, weird places too. I mean, places that I've just never been. And there's a lot of interest in Europe for the product. They vape a little differently over there.
yeah.
A little lower power, a little more smoker centric.
Mhm.
We've got a question. What about Australia? We apparently have somebody in Australia asking.
Yes, we will have them email me. Just email the site. I can help them with that.
There you go. All right. Well, we are at the 8:15 mark. We have got a business meeting to handle this evening. As y'all know, Brad's Vapor is who holds this business meeting on here. 2 things. You got to be at least 21 years of age and you've got to be a U.S. resident. And I know that kills Mark, but because Mark talks a lot of shit. But anyway, if you're looking for anything vaping wise, make sure you check out Brad's Vapor. Also, use ST10 because that's going to hook you up. You can stack it. You can type in ST10 about 20 times in the coupon section, and you're probably only going to get one discount, but it'd be look cool if you did it. Joe Clark, welcome to the membership. Thank you for joining there, sir. And thank you to all of the members that are out there in chat. So, Mr. Mike Vapes, can I get a business meeting number, please?
72.
72. I knew it was going to be 72.
Of course.
72. Do we have a 72? We do. Mark Hardy. Hardey. Congratulations.
Well, there you go, Mark. All you need to do is contact me at stvape72@gmail.com. You need to send a photo ID with address and birth date on there, and we will get you squared up. So, congratulations to you. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm certain there's probably people been knocking your door down saying, hey, if you're going to release something new, I want you on my feed to show the world. And I'm going to tell all of them to go to hell because I want that spot. So, no, definitely want you back. And it's not even about, talking about that. I love talking about stuff on here with the DNAs and stuff like that, just because, again, it's just something I've always used. And, I think they're cool as hell, and I'm certain there's probably more questions that'll come to me after I come off the air this evening. Oh, real quick. Thank you to Gary, the old vapor, for joining the group there. Thank you, sir. But, yeah, man, well, you've kind of said it on here already, so I'm going to hold you to it. I don't care. I'm going to hold you to it. You said you're coming back sometime in December with some new information, and by God, I'm going to hold you to that. So,
all right.
But,
you guys got my application. I mean,
hell yeah.
From you. I've had 2 interviews now. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I think that I know for a fact, there's a ton of people out there using DNA devices, whatever they might be. And I've just been in this game long enough to know that at the end of the day, that's typically one of the most well-known boards. And I think people use that more than a lot of people would think. Now, there is a time or two I'll have people say, what the hell's a DNA board? Typically, that's somebody that's just new, gotten into the game, and hadn't had that experience yet. And not going to say a lot of times that DNA boards are kind of connected to a little bit more high-dollar devices, but the price that you'll pay for a DNA, at least in my eyes, it's a device that's going to last you a very, very long time compared to like some little $40, $50 device that you might be lucky to get a year out of. So, but
the winner, number 72, congratulations, Ron33. Mark apparently was in Australia.
Oh,
Ron33, congratulations.
Oh, there you go. I'm sorry.
You're still here. Is the warranty on the DNA board, is it still a year or 90 days?
Yes.
What was it? A year? Okay.
It's a year. Yeah, it's a year. And we're pretty good with, I mean, that's one of the things that pisses me off when I meet with anything that I need to warranty. The reason our warranty is the way it is both John and I, believe in taking care of customers who have taken care of us over the years, and we always do. I think, I don't think anybody feels like our warranty is bad.
Yeah, I've never heard a bad thing about the warranty. Like, that's one of the things I always talk about with the 1-year warranty. You ship it back. It's in the States. You don't ship it out to China.
Yeah.
It's one of the good things.
We're even willing to repair other people's mods. I mean, that's how, if it has a DNA in it.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
We've seen some shit like that too.
We've done it. We've done it. I mean, it's no, I don't mean other people. I don't mean like.
I know what you're saying.
DNA in it. Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Somebody SS1911 says, "Can I send in my DNA 40?"
Sure.
Why you want to send it in first of all?
Yeah, what's the matter with it?
Yeah,
I gotta. You know what? I gotta.
Well, I got the DNA 40, the one with the built-in battery, and doesn't turn on at all. Like, oh.
Well, that's a battery problem. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Vapor Shark one.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. I even got the DNA 30, the Vapor Shark.
Yeah, that little Vapor Shark DNA 30 was cool. That was before the rubber coating. It was just that gray metal.
Yeah.
Look, that pop.
Man, Vapor Shark was the shit.
I
One of
love
my
it. I got all
favorite
of
mods
them.
of all time.
Here we go.
I miss Vapor Shark. I liked their design aesthetic. It was, it was very simple but elegant.
Go ahead and show 'em, Mark.
So I don't know what's wrong with this. Like sometimes it'll freeze up. Sometimes it just does all kinds of crazy shit.
It's user error.
If I wanted to, how would I do
I
this?
believe that.
Like, would I send the whole mod into you, or do I got to take the chip?
Yeah,
out?
no. Just send the whole mod to us. We'll take
I
care of
would
it.
love for this thing to start working again.
All right, send it in.
Well,
I mean, you know somebody there now, so.
Yep. Well, don't say that to Mark because he'll ship you a whole goddamn box of shit, and there won't be a damn thing wrong with anything. It'll just be.
Yeah.
Oh man.
They'll even ask you for a shipping label.
You know what? One thing that I love all my DNA devices, but one thing I got hooked on there for a long time was DNAs with lipos in them. And that was like, there was nothing else better in the world to me. Even though I've kind of got away from that a little bit, but there is something still with like, and to me, those are kind of old school mods a little bit, even though they're not, but they're not that many years that old, but again, I guess we call a lot of things OG nowadays when they're only 4 years old or some shit. But the lipo stuff, I definitely love. It's kind of big and bulky now compared to what things I use, but man, it's just.
And we don't see very many like we used to. Like
no,
DNA.
Man, lipos used to be the shit. Like what? What am I thinking? Maybe two years ago, it seemed like.
Ever since pods.
Yeah, there you go. Pods took over everything, so.
Right.
But I don't know. All right, folks, we're going to shut this down. Brandon, as always, thank you for coming on, sir. I think I'm seeing a lot of folks in chat. They learned some new things tonight, and that's always cool. But always great to have you on here and pick at your mind a little bit about the world of Evolve. So, folks, don't forget, go get you a Reflex right there. Go get yourself hooked up. It's a DNA in it. It's not Chinese. But all right, we're going to get out of here. And don't forget, I'll say it again, and y'all can go back and watch this show and find it wherever you can find. At some point, there's going to be a reveal on here. We just don't know when yet, but that will be the shit. But anyway, we're out of here. Smooth transition out.
Bye.
Bye, baby.
Now the son bitch, when I try to kill the stream, it's probably not even going to kill it now. So I don't have a clue.